Hey, everybody, this is Reverend Bill, and this is Monday evening, 11:10. And in case you have not noticed, I've not been online for a little while, and that is due to the fact that I've had a lot to do. As I mentioned before, I got another place set up and another studio on top of that. I do have another job, and I've had to start studying for some other exams, which I've had to start to pass those. So I've been a pretty busy guy lately, but I am back now, and I got a lot of things to do. Although today actually is going to be a little bit different than I normally been doing, just because I don't know. The news is the news, and there's been a lot of things going on, but a lot of the same things going on, if you know what I mean. Yeah, New York has elected, as we all kind of knew, the socialist, and I'm not really, not really a politician, but let's be honest. Uh, in a nutshell, he's not going to get the things done that he wants to get. And if he pulls in, if he tries to do free busing or free subways or whatever he's going to do, he's not going to be able to do it. And if he does, you don't have to be a politician to know all he's going to do is open that stuff up, the homeless climbing in. If he just tries to do free busing or free subways or free whatever he's going to do, all he's going to do is have the homeless people climb in there and cause a problem. Police are going to have to get involved, and police don't want to work for the guy anyway because he's going to be making their lives miserable. So the homeless people will be climbing in the buses and living there, and that's going to cause a whole lot of other issues. And as far as the free childcare, that's going to be child neglect and probably a lot of child abuse, unfortunately, if he even tries to pull that off. That's going to be a whole box of nightmare. I don't even want to think about all the child abuse and sex abuse that would be in there. That's just going to be child neglect. And then as far as the prostitution goes, I've always said, I would be willing to look at a reasonable alternative to prostitution, like how Germany does it. I think prostitution, although, my religious exceptions aside, if you wanted to do it for health reasons, I could see the argument there. It would make some sense. It would bring revenue into the state if you did it in a realistic, legal, healthy manner, but not the way he would want to do it. And it's just going to be a nightmare all the way around. And let's be honest, he's not going to be able to do the stuff he's promised. And it's going to fail, and he's going to say it's not because of socialism, it's because not enough socialism, and they're going to be calling out for more, and they're probably going to get it. I know already little sections of communist and socialist parties are starting looking to maybe cash in on this small little wave they're trying to get into. So we'll see what's going to happen, but I don't think this is going to go anywhere. I think it's going to start popping up in little pockets, and who knows? It's being run by people who do not know what they're doing, and I think it's the young generation that haven't learned. I mean, let's be honest. 25 years ago, they were standing in New York saying, "We will never forget," and guess what, guys? You forgot. And you're not going to remember anytime soon. Anyway, let's move on from that. Other things, so the government's still closed. They got through the Senate, and they're saying 70 to 80% chance that it'll probably get through the House. And then there might be some changes going through the House in order to get it through. But I think they'll get it through the House, probably by Wednesday, I would think. Trump will sign it. I think we're looking okay there. The hard part was getting it through the Senate, and it looked like we did that. So fingers crossed. Maybe that'll get through. Let's see. Millie Bobby Brown. Millie Bobby Brown. Last season of Stranger Things is coming out. The last season of a. I never really liked Stranger Things. Never really cared for the show at all. I did decide that I did not suffer enough for my sins, so I made myself watch all the seasons up till now anyway, and um, I'll probably watch the last season just because I haven't suffered enough yet. But I will go through the last season. Although I did see Tenet the other night, and that was, I got to think the good Lord is probably going to have a lot of mercy on me for actually sitting through Tenet. That was that was that was that was pretty painful. Not as bad as my hemorrhoidal. I had banding on my hemorrhoids about 15 years ago. That was pretty bad, but Tenet was really right up there as suffering. Although I did have, in all fairness, I did have anesthesia for my surgery, and I did not have anything for Tenet. I actually sat there the whole time without anything. So I don't know, six of one, one half dozen of the other. But I will say though that Stranger Things was pretty bad too. But Millie Bobby Brown, I think she must have maybe I've maybe seen a video of Media Mastery by Rachel Ziegler, because she decided right before the last season of Stranger Things came out, that she would badmouth David Harbour, her co-host, and probably the biggest star to come out of Stranger Things, really. Yeah, I would think. Yeah, I would think David Harbour, because she could have been a big star, but she went kind of strange, buying a farm, getting married, and then having that adopted baby that I guess she's kind of hiding from everybody. So she kind of went a little bit odd. So I'm not so sure that she's a star, but I think David Harbour, he got onto Thunderbolts, and he did Hellboy and a few other things. He might have been the breakout star from Stranger Things, but now he's kind of going the route of the Me Too, I think. Although it wasn't sexual, I don't think she accused him of anything sexual. She just called him bullying, and I don't know. They're still investigating it for whatever it is. But she thanked all the people in Stranger Things for making her a star by burying the last season, by making sure that she threw a lot of accusations out at him, the star of the show, right before the last season hit. So she really did right by the show by giving it all that controversy right before the last season was going to hit. So way to go there, but Millie Bobby Brown, MBB, way to shine. Yes, sir. Way to go. What else we got? Oh yes, Sydney Sweeney is still hot, so we got that too. Actually, I gotta hand it to her though. I like the girl. I like her because she's unabashedly hot, and she knows it, and that's refreshing nowadays. We need someone like that. That really, she's hot. She knows it, and she's cashing in on it. I think she's worth like $20 million, and good for her. There's there's no Me Too movement there going on, girl. You earned every penny of that. Keep it up. Do some posters. We need that nowadays. The anti Alyssa Milano, good girl. And as far as my next one, I just love this. This is my favorite. This is this has got to be my favorite. I've been reading a lot of them and seeing a lot of the Gen Zers. Are we sure they're from the same planet we are? Because me, of course, I keep an eye on all the on the movie box office. Those who know me, and I'm the one who actually reads the box office and tells you guys what the numbers really mean, as opposed to those that running around saying like Superman, like uh, uh, you know, um, Superman was actually ahead. That was absolutely ridiculous. James Gunn Superman. I think from the last one, I think I straightened it out because actually Man of Steel beat it dollar for dollar, not even adjusted for inflation. Man of Steel from 2013, dollar for dollar beat James Gunn's Superman. So that wasn't even adjusted for inflation. So James Gunn should hide his head. Not only was it not a hit, it was a terrible embarrassment. So yeah, don't calling that last Superman a hit. Jeez, unbelievable. Couldn't even beat Man of Steel. Man of Steel, by the way, for those of you who forget, wasn't a hit. Okay, so it's not like Man of Steel back in 2013. It was so not a hit, they didn't make a sequel. Okay, let's keep that in perspective. Man of Steel did not get a sequel, and it beat Superman, the big hit from James Gunn. Okay, Man of Steel did not get a hit, did not get a sequel. It was not a hit. It was not a hit, did not get a sequel. And it beat James Gunn's super mega hit. Jeez. All right, now we have that in perspective. Getting back to my point about Gen Z. All right, so I was reading Gen Z is like, why do you guys have to keep on talking about money and what movies make money and box office? You're ruining all our art. You keep on reminding people about what movies are making money and like, who cares, man? You're just like hurting our movies. Can't you just make us art? Because you're stomping on it. People are going to stop making movies that we enjoy if you keep on talking about money. Yeah. Why are we talking about this money stuff? I mean, what does it matter, right? Just make movies. What planet do these kids come from? What universe? We're sorry we're pestering you with all this money talk, but we have to eat and live and, feed our children and send them to schools and buy these nice cars and stuff. And by the way, we need to make these nice movies with. So yeah, guys, sorry, but we have to kind of like care about what makes movies what to make movies with money. It kind of reminds me, when I first heard of this, it kind of reminds me of that Monty Python, the Holy Grail with the wedding, where the knight comes in and starts killing everybody, and then the host gets all upset because everyone's dead. But then he finds out that the knight that did all the killing actually is rich. And he's like, whoa, wait a minute. Why are we going around? Why are we nitpicking about who kills whom? It's like, why are we nitpicking about who killed whom? Who cares about all this money thing? It's like, let's just ignore the money thing. It's a kind of a big thing to ignore, I mean, yeah, we do have to worry about the money thing. Kind of like ignoring all the dead bodies. We kind of have to address that. Yeah. So anyway, yes, the money thing is something we need to pay attention to. We can't ignore dead bodies or money. So sorry, guys, but at the end of the day, we're going to have to look at the old ledger and find out what's bringing in money. So there. Anyway, enough of that. So I was actually going to do something a little bit different now that we got over all the news. And I'll be remiss if I did not say that we still have a bunch of illegal immigrants driving around in 18-wheelers. It's funny. I just, while we're on that subject, I was talking to a friend of mine, and it was funny. 15, 20 years ago, we were talking about how whenever we saw an 18-wheeler, especially in bad traffic, we'd always, drive around behind them because these guys were the best drivers in the world. We always felt safe in the vicinity. And now we see them, we like get the hell away from them. We don't want nothing to do with them. Anyway, Now we just move far away. Oh, there is one other thing. Actually, it's very important. I do like to, and I'm going to actually get. I want to do something really unorthodox in a few minutes. Before I get to that, I do want to actually say something that's really important. I do like to get serious now about religion because as you guys know, I have very definite feelings about religion. I've been through some very serious things, and one of the things that did cross my mind the other day, I feel very strongly about, is that Charlie Kirk. I used to watch him not as a youngster. I used to kind of watch him as someone coming up. I used to watch him like maturing as a person, and I looked at him as kind of hope for the younger generation. Of course, I was very upset when I saw him taken away. And I've been watching people trying to replace him. And of course, it's a huge shoes to fill. I was a little disappointed. I'm not going to mention any names, but there was one guy, and I know he was trying. He was an older gentleman, actually. And, it's one of the things you hear all the time. And it was a boy. I assumed that he was gay. He was effeminate. And he was asking the question that I hear quite often, and it's a fair question, and it bothers me because a lot of times people are not able to answer it correctly, and this gentleman was no exception. And it was basically the question in a nutshell was, if God loves us, why can't He love us for the way we are? And it's a good question. It needs to be answered correctly, and this gentleman was not able to answer it, unfortunately. Not him; he thought he did, but he didn't. He didn't answer it quite correctly. This gets me to something again the other day. I have a lot of. I had problems back when I was fighting the witches and a lot of demons and bad spirits that I was fighting when I was going through those really bad times. And there was times when I wasn't able to fight them correctly. And I was wondering to myself, I'm a man that all my life I was believing in Jesus. And I didn't feel like I was getting the support from him that I needed, that I'm getting now, for example. They would never bother me now. I'm well able for them now. But I didn't have the support that I thought I should get at the time, and they would come at me, and I would try to fight them. And although I believed in Jesus, and I would say the prayers, it just didn't have the force that I thought they should have. And I wasn't angry, but I wasn't sure why I wasn't getting the strength that I to fight these off like I should have been getting. And I was confused. Anyway, eventually I did. And it all made sense to me at the time. And it came to me actually after a while. I understood what was wrong. And God was not with me. He was not with me fully. And it was not his fault. It was my fault. I didn't prepare myself properly. It's kind of like a parent in the way that, and as a father, I know this. You've got to ask when you want something, whether it's when you want money or you want the car keys, or maybe you want a loan for your parents for your first house. You have to ask them properly. You don't just go in and go, "Hey, give me some money." You've got to ask your parent the right way. And when you ask your parent the right way, you usually get what you want. It's the same thing with the Lord. And the sooner you get used to the fact that he is a parent, things come together. And if you think of it that way, it makes sense. And if you think about that way, when if your child walks to you and you do say, "Hey, give me the car key, give me the car keys." Well, you'd be a terrible parent if you just said, "Sure." You'd say, "Don't talk to me that way," or "No, no. Why don't you try next time, buddy, and ask for property? I might think about it." And God does the same thing. And when I was, if you think that evil witches or whatever are going to come to you, and you're just going to say, "Yo, Jesus, come here, take care of that." He's not going to come. You've got to be in tune with Jesus, and you've got to let him know that you're there. You just can't demand Jesus to come. "Hey, I got some evil witches here. Come take care of them for me." No, you got to be there with Jesus when the witches are not there. And you got to be with, and then when you're talking to Jesus when they're not there, he'll come to you when they're there. You can't just call him when they're there, and he's going to come running. You got to establish a relationship. He's got to know who you are, and then and that's the way it is. Now, why I'm bringing this up is there's a story here I'm going to share with you, and it's exactly what I learned from it. This is actually what gave me the clue, and it's a story about when the Jews were in the desert and they were with Moses, and this is what clued me in. And I'm going to just give you a quick rundown of it. I'm going to read you a couple of quick passages, and this is what gave me the clue about it. And it was when the Jews were in the desert, because it was a penalty. For those of you, I can't go over the whole Bible with you, but in a nutshell, as a punishment to the Jews, God made them wander in the desert for 40 years because he did not think that they deserved to go to the promised land. So he made them walk in there for 40 years until they all died, and then the children can go to the promised land as a punishment. Again, God's severe. Okay, God's not a pushover. So as a punishment, he made them walk themselves to death. So till the children were worthy to go to the next land. So during their adventures, they were going to fight a people, and again they got on his bad side, and he wasn't standing for them. He said, "You're on your own," and they didn't believe him. And they decided that they were going to fight the Canaanites up on the hill. And Moses pretty much said, not to do it. He said, "God's not with you." And he said that the Lord would not be with you. And this is from Numbers 14:39 to 45. And they went anyway. I'm going to read it to you. But they presumed to go up to the hilltop nonetheless. The ark of the covenant of the Lord and Moses departed not out unto the camp. And the Amalekite came down, and the Canaanites which dwelt in that hill, and smote them and discomfited them, even unto Hormah. Okay, that was Numbers 14. And then jump ahead to Numbers 21, 1, 2, 3. This is all from King James Version, by the way. And this is when they came back with the Lord. And when King Arad the Canaanite, which dwelt in the south, heard tell that Israel came by the way of the spies, and he fought against Israel and took some of them prisoners. And Israel vowed a vow unto the Lord, and said, "If thou wilt indeed deliver this people into my hand, and I will utterly destroy their cities." And the Lord hearkened to the voice of Israel, and delivered up the Canaanites, and they utterly destroyed them and their cities. And he called the name of the place Hormah. So they made peace with the Lord, and he said, "All right, go get them." And the Lord and them, they went, and they ended up taking the Canaanites because the Lord was with them. The point of what it is if the Lord's with you, you can do anything. And that was pretty much it. So what I'm getting at is essentially that if you're going to stand there and say, if God loves us, he should love us the way we are. No, it's the other way around. God is going to take very good care of you, but you've got to love him the way he wants to be loved. He's not going to come to you and say, how do you want to be loved? How should we do it now? How, you tell me and I'll do it for you. No, I can't begin to tell you all the things he does, but you've got to earn it. He's the father, okay? He's not going to come and take your order. This God does a lot of things. He doesn't always do what you want. And I can tell you right now that he will take care of you. Those of you who think that God does not talk to you, he does. He talks to you. And as a matter of fact, he talks to you in many, many different ways. I said to him the other day, you know, I want to know why does he let, I see a lot of suffering. I see a lot of people, for example, that that football player the other day, you know, I was wondering, I wouldn't be surprised if he was being attacked by witches. I think there's a lot of that going on and people don't realize it. They see that there's drugs and they see that there's alcohol and they just put it down to that. But what they don't realize is that a lot of these things, the drugs and the alcohol, allow witches to go in there. That's a door, okay? That doesn't mean that that's all it is. Just because there's drug and alcohol in there doesn't mean that's all that is. Witches look at that kind of stuff and they see a door to sneak in. And they use that to get in there and do their dirty work. So, I mean, you know, that's like waving a dollar bill at a stripper. I mean, seriously. So if you think just because someone's doing drugs, that there's nothing else involved, you know, when you see junkies on the street and you think, boy, look how far they fell. Don't think they didn't have help. They might very well have helped. That might not just be drugs. That could very well be other stuff involved there too. Don't always assume that there's not other things working in there. There absolutely is. And I believe me, I see it. And there's no reason to believe there are no other factors. I'm all too aware of what they're capable of doing. We just can't see them, unfortunately. There's not much we can do, really, except pray. So anyway, you know, we're running low on time. There's so much what I want to do. Interesting. Oh, I want to kind of go over AI. I had got a little AI friend that I got talking, and he actually wrote actually a message for you guys, and he wanted to talk to you. Maybe I'll do that a little later on. Save it for later. I don't know, because we kind of got into this religious thing, but I don't know. We'll maybe leave it for next time. But I want to continue on a little bit more about this, though, about the Lord, because it's getting kind of interesting. But yeah, I mean, a lot of times, you know, you ask the Lord for something, and He doesn't give it to you, but He gives you something better. I don't want to talk a lot about my personal stuff but I'll give you some examples of what I'm talking about without, you know, giving away too much personal thing. But for example, you know, a person might ask for something and may not get it, but they might get something better. The Lord doesn't always give you what you ask for, but that doesn't mean He's not giving you something that you need. You might not, you know, get that date with that person that you want, but maybe that person's not good for you. And maybe you'll get something that is good for you. I mean, it's quite possible, for example, that you might not get a job that you want, but you might get a position at work that's better for you. I've certainly seen something like that happen. Yeah. I mean, I know for a fact that I've actually asked for one thing and got very disappointed, and then got something better and realized that God actually gave me something better than what I asked for. He actually did help me. I honestly don't know anything that I've asked for that I didn't get in some way, shape, or form. God has never let me down. Um, I can honestly say I don't think God has always taken care of me. God has always taken care of me, and I'm talking even with the brutal attacks um, that I've gone through. Because and it has said that too. By the way, it says that when God puts you through terrible trials, there's always something bright at the end of it. And although I went through some terrible ordeals, I got to tell you, I'm probably the happiest I've ever been right now. So I don't look back at that as some terrible trauma that has crushed me. I think it's a trial, and I feel like I've climbed the highest mountain in the world, and I feel pretty good about it. So yeah, I've got no complaints. But anyway, that's it. I'll kind of leave it there. But I do have some AI stuff. I would get into it now, but something, I got so much of it. I can't possibly get into it now. I allotted most of my half hour to it, and I just talked through my half hour about all this. So I'll leave that, and I'll hit that later on. But I'm back now anyway, and I'll be talking to you guys again soon. So hopefully that wasn't too long and boring for you. If you hope you liked it, and if you didn't, come back again. We'll give it another shot. Like, share, and subscribe. I will talk to you later. So have a good week.